Welcome, everybody. And again, thank you for joining us today as part of our International Education Week, celebrating all the great things and contributions students, faculty, alumni, staff make to our international education environment. So today is our Faculty Perspectives International Research and Collaboration panel. We have 4 different faculty that have joined us today from 4 different departments. We have the Department of Public Health represented, the Department of Counselor Education and Rehabilitation, the Department of Social Work Education, and as well as the Library Research Services. So today, our international faculty will discuss how they continue to bridge the gap during these unprecedented times through research, teaching, and collaborations. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our 4 panelists and allow them to introduce themselves. Dr. Perez, would you like to go first and introduce yourself?
If you give me a minute, I'm just trying to activate the camera. If somebody else goes first, I would appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Let's see. Dr. Sharma, do you want to go next?
Yes, sure. Thank you so much, Jamie, for introducing us. Thank you so much for organizing this event. It is a great pleasure to be here. Thank you, Dr. Lam, for always advocating for international faculty and students. So I am Gitima Sharma. I am an associate professor in the Department of Counselor Education and Rehab, and I am thrilled to be here. And then I believe that our panel discussion questions will help us to share more about ourselves. So without taking time, I think we can move to the next participant. Thank you.
Why don't we just go ahead and keep moving with the next?
You want me to go next?
Sure.
Yes. I am Dishana Jayasundara, and I'm faculty in the social work department. I am originally from Sri Lanka, and as Gitima said, I'll hand it over to the next presenter.
Thank you so much for joining us, Hiromi.
Hi, and thank you, Jamie. And my name is Hiromi Kubo. I'm a public services librarian and library liaison for the Craig School of Business. Also, I'm part of the Library Diversity Committee and working closely with ISSP and CCE to support and promote international education-focused programs in the library.
All right, Dr. Perez, are you ready?
Oh, you have it mute.
So yes, I'm sorry, I had a little bit of trouble with the camera, but I fixed it, so I am happy about it. So hi everyone, my name is Dr. Gilda Pinson Perez, and I am a professor in the Department of Public Health, and I also teach at the School of Nursing. I am actually, I was an international student when I first came to the United States, and I had the honor to be a student, international student here at Fresno State for a couple of years. Then then after many years, I became US citizen, but I have the very, very close memory of what it was to be an international student. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. So just one note, why don't we go ahead and answer the first question in the order we introduced ourselves, so that way, everybody knows what order we'll go ahead and go in. So let's jump off here in the first question. We said, tell us the scope of your international collaboration, whether in research, teaching, or professional service.
Dr. Perez, you want to go first? You were listed in the order of first, or I can go first, whatever you prefer.
Well, yeah, why don't you go ahead and go first, since you introduced yourself first?
Okay, got it. So, there are so many ways that I can possibly answer, but first I loved what, Dr. Perez shared, that, my first identity comes from being an international student within the United States once I moved to US at Michigan State University in the year 2007. And right now, the way I look at my international collaboration is mainly in 2 ways. One, in service, and second, in terms of research. Regarding research, my research area is on sense of purpose in life. And I have developed and validated a scale called a sense of purpose, scale. And so far I have had a great collaboration with faculty in Turkey, to translate that scale into Turkish language. Right now, I'm collaborating with someone in China to translate that scale into Chinese language. Eventually, my own home country, India, for Hindi. But that's one way that I'm collaborating with faculty across the world. And then second, I belong to Soka Gakkai International. It's an organization that is dedicated to peace, culture, and education in 192 countries and territories worldwide. So in terms of service, I actively participate in SGI activities within Fresno and beyond. And that's how I'm able to participate in a lot of international events that promote world peace. Thank you.
So I participate over the years in collaborations in three different ways: research and teaching, and with, as Gitima said, in service. The research, my research has definitely has international focus, and over the years I have collaborated quite a bit with different colleagues in South Asia, and written publications, publications, and I concentrate a lot on beyond South Asia, Asia also, and then in the Western world. Quite a bit of public, collaborations with on different research projects with kind of Sweden and kind of the European countries, UK and so on. And and then in terms of teaching, I think that when as the others said, I also came to United States as an international student, but my international travel began before that. I'm originally from Sri Lanka. I went to do my undergrad in India as an international student, and so teaching for me, as for everybody else, it just was something that I wanted to bring to my students also. And so over the years, I started international field programs, and this wasn't it at Fresno State, but at other institutions, started international field programs, started international exchange program for students and faculty and staff with Malmo University in Sweden, and then at Fresno, and also did teaching where I taught international social welfare class, where we got to partner with some agencies internationally and got the students to actually do prior to identified projects by the agencies in other countries. And so they were able to do the projects during the duration of the semester, and then also got students from different countries to do Zoom meetings and talk about research and kind of how different social work is taught in different countries. And so and at Fresno State was able to take students to international conferences and border town in San Diego to learn about immigration on border town aspects. And so that's from those aspects. And in terms of service, I've had the opportunity to live in 4 different countries, including US and my own country. And so being part of that, and having traveled a lot in South Asia, I learn a lot from agencies, and also try to give as much as I can in terms of grant writing and so on. And so those collaborations continue. Thank you.
Believe it is my turn. Hi, everyone. Let me make sure you can see. Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Gilda Pinson Perez. Once again, I want to do or share with you the work that we do collaboratively with other faculty in my department for international work. And first of all, I want to share with you that I am a fan of the International Coffee Hour every Tuesday at 4 p.m. And yesterday I just saw Dr. Sarah Lam, Marcela, and everybody in that event, which is one way that we as faculty could continue to be involved in the work that the Division of Global and Continuing Education is doing through the International Students Office. And that is important because it is, I think that our work as faculty members throughout this pandemic could start first locally, which is supporting these kind of efforts that the division is doing, and also the more global perspective. So at the local level, I invite you to join us every Tuesday at 4 o'clock for the International Coffee Hour. We learn a lot from the students and their perspectives from their own native countries, as well as the perspectives of when they go there as scholars or as students doing some semester work school there. Second, then I want to share with you our collaborations for global education. And I did have, the first one I want to share with you is something we call the teleconferences. Those teleconferences, we have done 3 teleconferences, and they are all virtual. They have always been virtual, and we did it through distance education, and they have had participation of various countries. In the first one, we have Uganda. We had one also participating in Peru, as well as Colombia, the United States, and recently we have had more collaboration with Chile. So in these teleconferences, what we do is every site, every country has their own audience. So all of us are professors that have this as a conference for the students. And in most of the sites, there are about 100 students or more students from medicine, nursing, public health, etc. And they are there participating in this conference. And then we have speakers from the different organizations or the different institutions that participate, like universities. And it's like a regular conference, So it usually lasts about 4 or 5 hours, and everyone is like this. Everyone in this site, we used to have more like the traditional distance education format. Now we are going to use more Zoom, because we all are using Zoom and becoming more familiar with this. The international conferences have been the first one on re-emerging diseases such as tuberculosis, and all the speakers talk about re-emerging diseases in their own countries. The second was on collaborations for public health, and the last one was more centered on indigenous health. So those are the teleconferences. Recently, because I was a Fulbright awardee for a teaching research award, one in 2008 in the Dominican Republic and another one in 2016 in Peru. So I went there as part of my sabbatical, and in the Dominican Republic, I work very closely with my husband, who is also a professor in the Department of Public Health, in supporting initiatives related to immigrant health there in the Dominican Republic. But in Peru, which is the last sabbatical and the last Fulbright, I started working very intensely on indigenous health. And as a result of that Fulbright Award, we have continued with the faculty, the doctors, the nurses that are working in Peru with indigenous health. And recently we had I published an article on their journal about indigenous health, contrasting indigenous health here in the Central Valley with indigenous health in Peru. And in the Central Valley, just recently, we work with Oaxacan a student as well as a nurse in creating a mental health instrument to assess the needs of Oaxacan indigenous populations, which are indigenous groups that come from Mexico and are here in the Central Valley, and they are part of the farm working population. They are in different sectors of the economy, but they are largely involved in the agricultural sector. So this instrument was translated into Mixteco and Zapoteco, and it's available now. They both are oral languages, so we have it in the oral form if anybody needs it. Thank you.
So, again, my name is Hirami, librarian, and one of my major research and professional interests has been international education and overall campus internationalization efforts and its impact on student success. And it stemmed from my own experience as an international student, originally from Japan. I came to the United States for my first time for studying abroad and in my senior year. And it was a life-changing experience. So I came back to the United States for my master's study in library and information science about close to 10 years later, once again, anyway, so, and then I was fortunate enough to be given opportunity to professionally work at university libraries. And I've been working at Fresno State since 2008. So this is my 12 years here at Fresno State. And I recently earned my doctorate in educational leadership program at Fresno State and completed my dissertation research on the impact of international education and overall campus internationalization efforts in higher education on student learning. So it was one of my big goals and dreams to conduct the research on this area. So I was so passionate about, just conducting the research was already fascinating to me, but the findings, I was so fascinated and amazed, and that from the study that I found, from the study, the results showed many positive impact on the students' learning experiences on campus and self-discovery or development of their self-confidence and transformation in academic or career path or both, and their overall lives. So that's I've been doing.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so on the next question, how has your international collaboration impacted your role as a professor or a scholar? And why don't we go ahead and start with Dr. Jasundra.
Yes. So obviously when you're, when you have an international focus and you've been to different countries, you go beyond just tolerating diversity to embracing diversity, right? And so I think that I teach about diversity and oppression, and talking about diversity, and that becomes an easy topic. And you bring not only a lot of students have, in my classes, they talk about not having been outside of Fresno area. And so to me, it's important that I bring the world closer to them. And so in all my teachings, I try to bring in examples of global examples, how what is happening here is also, there are similarities to what's happening globally, and so connecting it. And also knowing that as all of us have been international students here, and the impact it had, we never left actually, right? So it had a big, huge impact in us, and we all have become global trotters because of, travelers, because of that impact. And so trying to get students to have that similar impact. And I understand that for many students, finance is an issue. So in all the travel, I try to fundraise and make sure that the students don't have to pay, right? And so when we took students to Indonesia, I have students talking about, wanting to really go and being afraid, and also just not having the money. And so for us in our department, it became a social justice issue. We need to fundraise. And so kind of making sure, and I'm so happy to say we raised about 60,000, and we were able to take students, and so that those are, I think, coming from a developing country, I knew money was an issue for me, but we figured out ways. And so then bringing that same thing to the students, and then kind of incorporating that global perspective and getting students to embrace diversity is how I think it impacts.
Dr. Perez, you can go next.
Okay, let me get okay, everyone. So definitely the impact that it has, the positive impact of our efforts are not only translated on our own personal professional growth, but definitely in the students' growth as well. So every work that we do internationally, globally, is always reflecting positively in our own teaching and our own service here in the area. So for instance, in a couple of opportunities, I have had the students from my classes collaborating with the initiatives like the organization of the conferences, the international conferences, or recently I am involved in collaboration with a university in Chile. And in that collaboration, we were trying to get scholars from Chile to come here to the United States in January. And we had make a plan, even met with Dr. Lam and several ones from your office, from the International Students Office, as to plan for that. Unfortunately, right now we have the kind of challenges that we have with COVID, but it's something that we still are going to pursue if possible in the future. Right now, we are trying to collaborate via virtual and Zoom means. So in those kind of efforts, I always try to involve students from my classes. And for instance, some of them may complete their hours or have hours in relationship to the various programs. And for instance, we publish a book. It's a booklet, it's not a book, but it was a booklet on resilience for Hispanic Latinx children. And in that project, I had the participation of 3 students from my PH 100 course who were from the very beginning providing the cultural competence aspect and participating in the translation, interpretation of the booklet into Spanish, things like that. So that helps them because we can give them letters of support, recommendation letters, letters indicating they have been involved in this research or in this initiative, so that could make them stronger candidates for their graduate school.
Hiromi?
All right. So my international collaboration have given me the opportunity and more passion in further exploring that how we faculty, along with staff and administrators, and could better support students' endeavors and growth in international, intercultural, and global areas, individually or collectively. And also how we can better tie student experiences and learning with in international education with their academic success and their career success and just, overall life success, as well as like tying or bridging their knowledge and experience with the community. So bringing their knowledge and experience back to the community to, to inspire them. Also, it inspired me to think, since I'm a librarian, so how the library, academic libraries can further build collections, services, and programs or partnerships in supporting these efforts.
Dr. Sharma, I think you're our last professor for this question.
Okay. Yeah, actually in line with what everyone shared, I feel that international collaborations have really expanded my identity with regard to global citizenship. And there are so many ways to define global citizenship. In fact, my recent research project that I'm beginning is on global citizenship. But there is these 3 key elements that Daisaku Ikeda, who is a recipient of 365 honorary doctorates and awards from universities worldwide for his efforts for world peace, like in his lecture at Columbia University's Teachers College, he said that these are the three qualities that a global citizen possesses. And I think my work internationally is helping me to develop each of these qualities. So I'll just read them out and, we'll end with that. But the first is the wisdom to perceive the interconnectedness of all life and living. So through engaging in international efforts, collaborations and research, and just, like I feel like I'm expanding my own wisdom to see that my life and that of environment is not separate, and that I am deeply interconnected with all life and living, including our physical environment. And then second, the courage to not fear or deny difference, but to respect and strive to understand people of different cultures and to grow from such encounters with them. So in this current era of systemic racism, I am getting even more aware of the fact that we all are different, but it takes real courage to not deny these differences, but to really acknowledge them. And as Dishana was sharing, to genuinely appreciate diversity rather than just tolerate, right? But to deeply respect diversity, but then also to engage in dialogues through which I can understand people of different cultures. And that's why I really value today's forum, because it's helping me to understand, different cultures. And then third, the compassion to maintain an imaginative empathy that reaches beyond one's own immediate surroundings and extends to those suffering in distant places. So I teach in counselor education program, masters in counseling students. And even if empathy is one of our core condition, it is so sometimes difficult to teach empathy and to live by having empathy for even those who are closest to us, including our own family members. But I think, engaging in international collaborations is expanding my humanity to be able to have even imaginative empathy for those who live in distant places. And I hope to be able to instill that in my students. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Next up, what has made it possible for you to engage in international collaboration? Dr. Perez, would you like to go first?
Yes, thank you so much, Amy. Well, what has made it possible? I always want to acknowledge the office, your office, and the support that we always receive from all of you, Jamie, Marcela, and all of you, Dr. Lam, in motivating us. And that warm attitude that you all have there is very helpful, especially nowadays where things tend to be so much business-like, and around the world, things are not done that way. In many other parts, is that relationship that exists between people many times more important than how intelligent we appear or how well-versed we appear. So I think that that's very important, that good relationship with the office of, I think it's international students and international students and programs. I'm sorry if I am not giving the correct title of the office, ISP. And second, the collaboration with other colleagues at the university. This is something we are not doing alone. We're always doing as part of a team, as part of a group. In my case, the collaboration with Dr. Miguel Perez, the collaboration with other faculty from the whole university, Dr. Paul Ogden, Dr. Cheryl Hickey, Dr. Leslie Sarinkame. They have always, like, from physical therapy, Drs. Sarinkame and Dr. Cheryl Hickey have been very involved in the organization of the teleconferences, in the organizing committee. And the last part that has made it possible is like the experience. We learn from our mistakes, we learn from the past, and it's good to have that humble attitude of learning from what we have done well as learning from what we need to improve. So throughout the years, I have learned, oh, I need to do this. And there's always something that say, next time we need to do this, we need to do this and this. So I think that that has been a positive component of making all these initiatives possible.
Dr. Kubo, I think you're up next.
Oh, me? Yeah, I just totally agree. I was just nodding and nodding, nodding that to me too, collaboration and partnership and teamwork with the other people on campus and off campus was made me possible to engage in international collaboration. Like no matter it is a library programming or conducting research, but for instance, like my recent research about internationalization effort on student learning, Dr. Salam is one of my dissertation committee members, and I couldn't finish my research without her. So, and then Jamie, we worked so closely about coffee hour and hosting coffee hour and things, and then Sarah and in study abroad, and Frank in divisions of continuing and global education. Just so many great relationships and partnerships and help made me be engaged in the international collaboration and international education. Thank you.
Dr. Sharma, I think you're up next.
Honestly, I'm looking for more support currently within my own school and my own department. And that's why the moment I saw an email on this, I was like, yes, I want to, because I know I'll be able to meet others and will, be able to connect. So I'm looking for more collaborations to engage in international work. But from my end, for me, I loved what Dr. Perez you shared about things tend to be like very business-like, sometimes. But I think when it comes to international work, so much of our heart is needed to be able to, continue to persevere in spite of all the difficulties. So for me, friendship really comes first. So really building friendships, within my own department, within my own community, internationally, just friendships. Because I think when genuine friendships exist, then most authentic dialogues take place, and we are able to be most creative to engage in the work that's needed for humanity. So.
Thank you. And last up.
So I would like to bring a different perspective. I think what Gatima kind of talked about, the passion, the heart, I think for me, it started as a child, the collaboration, the spirit of collaboration and into globalization, the interest in that started as a child with this one show called Big Blue Marble. It was a British broadcasting service show that actually was talking about children. It was a show about children globally. And but one aspect of that show was they connected people to pen pals from across the globe. And my two sisters and I, we wrote to them. I was about 8. We wrote to them, and then I got a pen pal from Sweden, and my older sister got somebody from Nigeria, and my second sister got somebody from Austria. And so this was before internet era, and my pen pal's name was Emma Carlson, and we collaborated for about 5 years. And from Sweden, and she would, it's a completely different perspective. We were same age, and her life is so different. And I would read my sisters and talking about Nigeria, some of the context, and then Austria, just completely different worldviews. And we were not good with English, but we were able to communicate. We exchanged a lot of pictures, I didn't have a camera, so I would cut newspaper articles of pictures of Sri Lanka and would send. And my Emma would talk about, summers going to different European countries, and she would send me pictures of that. And that just ignited a passion in me. And so I didn't know about vision boarding then, the term vision boarding, but I created in our family, we would cut newspaper articles and we would put it in the wall, and we would have this collage of different places we wanted to go, right? And so it started, and when it was time to go to college, I was selected to do law in Sri Lanka. Oh, I could go. I had opportunity to go to India with a scholarship to do sociology, and guess what I chose? And I have no regret at all. And from there, we started doing this with our friends also, collaborating, let's go travel. And that's what I have one of my friends here, Candy Madrigal, who's also a colleague who was in my PhD program, that's right here in the audience. And we as PhD students, even we traveled to different places for conferences as students, and those relationships continued, right? It's that spirit, the passion that comes at a young age. And as I said, I came from a developing country. There was no money. It started with the heart. It started with that passion and wanting. Yeah. Yes. So then when you really want something and you look around, you find resources and find ways.
Thank you. That's such a great story. Okay, so our next question: what has changed during the pandemic? And Dr. Kubo, you can go first.
So definitely like travel ban that affects like international or study and research abroad opportunities. And then because of the budget reductions due to the recession because of the pandemic in that hard hit, like I can tell about the library's collection and human resources. We've been having really hard time right now because of the budget reductions. So that, and the particularly collections is the core of the library, and building and promoting the collections that support international education is again the core to me. So it's very like heartbreaking to me. And also personally, I value in like person-to-person interactions and in my professional and research and personal life. So that I really miss, and I'm looking forward to going back to the normal time that I can meet and work with our students and our colleagues on campus and off campus as well. But at the same time, I see some silver lines in the current situation under the pandemic, that particularly the pandemic gave us sort of opportunity to further expand and explore potential ways of working or communicating and doing research using technology, and in addition to the traditional ways. For instance, I really appreciate that this session is held and under this circumstance using Zoom and video conferencing. Video conference technology is not new technology. However, I think we are sort of forced, and we needed to more explore this technology because of the pandemic, which I think it's the good things happening from this bad situation. Thank you.
I think Dr. Sharma, you're next.
Yeah, first, thank you so much, Jamie, for bringing your two boys in this. It is so cute. I have a 7-month-old baby and a 5-year-old son, so it's always so wonderful to see you two siblings. Great, thank you. Sorry. So yeah, honestly, this time is making me more determined to engage, in international collaborations. It's making me really reflect on my own humanity, really polish my own heart and mind to be able to embrace, appreciate, and promote diversity in whatever I can do. I'm getting more serious about, especially supporting minority students, especially supporting international students who apply to our program. There's one student who is actually from Afghanistan. So I'm getting more serious about reaching out to that student consistently, given, the anti-immigrant sentiment that's right, like this era of divisiveness and racism. So yeah, so I'm just reaching out even more, to our students to make sure that they are doing well. And I too value, these opportunities, as Hiromi was sharing, to be able to connect virtually and explore, how we can build connections virtually. But yeah, I think, ultimately it's this entire year 2020 is just making me do a lot of self-reflection and a lot of personal growth, which I feel would help me to serve my students better and then collaborate even more effectively. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Jasundara?
Yes, so I have to say that the COVID did affect quite a bit of my plans, our department plans with international efforts. We had this summer, we were supposed to take 29 students to a global social work conference in Italy. Rimini, Italy, and we had everything planned. Our students were, all 29 students were accepted to present, and we organized, we fundraised, we did everything. And then the pandemic hit, and so it really affected a lot of the plans, and the students were so disappointed, and we had to kind of problem solve with students also. And then we also had planned taking, we took last year also, but we had planned taking students to the San Diego border, where our students actually volunteer with this agency, Border Angels, that where they help, they do water drops in the desert for migrants who are crossing the border. And it was such a wonderful experience, and we had about 45 students selected and everything. And we also had students selected to take, and we even bought the tickets to take students to the United Nations, Social Work Day at the United Nations. And so all of those things actually ended up getting canceled. And so there was a lot of disappointment, but also the nightmare of figuring out how to reimburse after buying the tickets and, and all of that. But more and more, we are adjusting to the new normal, and our program is talking about doing international conference. Specifically, kind of, we are looking at how do we do it with Central and South America, especially about migration aspects, and can we do something with our colleagues in the our neighboring colleagues, and then also our Council of Social Work. We are talking about doing podcast or doing Facebook Live events, bringing in experts from different different parts of the world about what is happening and what are they doing with COVID, how is the country addressing it, and how are people dealing with that. And so as Gutima said, we are, it did put a lot of barriers, but we are looking at more innovative ways of engaging and collaborating.
Wonderful. And Dr. Perez?
Thank you. So it's funny because Dr. Kubo was saying, I am here, I am the same. Oh, yes. Sharing very much the sentiment of all of you who have presented. Definitely COVID affected immensely, has affected immensely our international work. I was planning to go in the summer to do a course for a nursing school in Chile. And from there, we were going to bring the scholars in January. That was the original plan. But of course, that the part of going there and had to be canceled as a result of COVID-19. However, that's not to say that is not going to happen. yes, we're all committed. I just recently talked to Claudia in the university over there and say, we still need to do this, bring the scholars for the public health course, and we are all committed. So it's going to happen with a little delay, but it will happen with the support of the university and the both universities involved. So part of that is to create the collaboration agreements, and Dr. Sarah Lam has helped us in that process of setting like the institutional support kind of paperwork that is needed. So we're probably more likely to continue to work on that structural process and then do the course as soon as possible, as soon as we are able to do that international travel physically. Second, I also wanted to share with you the certainly we have the inability to do what we used to do and what it was normal for us to do, but this has prompted us to think in other ways. For me to even become so familiar with Zoom nowadays, to create break rooms, all kind of things, videos, things I didn't do before. I just always contacted the student who was helping me or the administrative support coordinator, please set up this Zoom session, etc. Now I have to do it, and I was forced to learn it. So I am glad about that. I feel that I have learned so much in using technology, other kinds of meetings, possibilities that I have never had a chance to do before. So something positive is that. The other way is, we always, and I wanted to mention Jamie's effort and once again, all the office effort in the International Culture Show. I love that event. It's always the Sunday before Thanksgiving at about 5 o'clock. And my family and I—
Except this year. Except this year it's on Friday.
Oh, it's on Friday. Oh, so, it has the fashion show and we all go, a lot of faculty members go with their home country attire, and many of us have become more involved in actually participating in the fashion show. My family always represents, well, the United States because my children were born here and I am now a US citizen. So we are proud to represent the United States as well as my home country, which is Colombia, and we all go and do the presentations and the fashion show. So it's really fun. This year we are not doing it. I couldn't convince them to do it through the video, but I am for sure going to continue to do it in the future years as a schedule. So all those things, positive and negative, everything has a positive and a negative thing. And the last thing is, Dr. Sharma, I believe you were the one who talked about in the best practices, Provost best practices. And I love when you presented about how to deal with challenging circumstances and with wisdom, courage, and compassion. And that has been like really a trend that I am trying to incorporate in all the programs that I do, especially with the international students. They are far away from home. They are dealing with a circumstance that is at all completely different of what they expected. Many of them are in their rooms in the I don't know, physically in the university, but it's not like the regular classroom interaction that they were expecting. So we need to remember that courage to advocate for instruction that meets their needs, compassion to understand their circumstances at the psychological, physical, social level, and wisdom for us to know when we should be fair and how to be fair, and more than equality, how to act with equity. Because as you all know, there's a difference between equality and equity. And in health, we always talk about equity.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so for our last question today, what can you tell us about international collaboration for someone who has no international ties? And what tips do you have for them to get started? Dr. Sharma, can you go ahead and start us off?
Yes, I can. Thank you so much, Dr. Perez, for attending that seminar on practices. It was amazing because our running theme was humanistic education, and was able to present on global citizenship. And yes, wisdom, courage, and compassion, three most important qualities to bring out, from our life right now. So yeah, I think my only honestly, I am in the same boat. I'm seeking again. I'm seeking more collaborations. I want to do so much more. I am so inspired today by Hiromi, Helda, Dishana, all three of you. The work that you have been doing, and I'm sure other faculty too. So I want to do more myself. And I think from my end, the only advice or the tip that I would have is to just really build friendships. Like friendships are so important. They expand our life and humanity at such a deep level. I still remember one of my colleagues, I just heard her in the meeting at Kremen School of Education when I joined in 2015 at one of the orientation. And she mentioned that she's an expert in stats, and statistics is not my strong point. I do a lot of qualitative research. And I just remember I was just walking through the doorway and I saw her door open and I just said hi, hello, and we started, like having our conversations. And I told her I'm stuck, with one data analysis procedure. And she said, okay, I'll help you, but what do I get in return? And then we talked about co-authorship, and then since then we have published 7 articles, in last 5 years. It just began with that honest conversation, that authentic dialogue, that I am stuck and I need help, and now that's the scale that's getting published in different languages, and it's helping me to collaborate internationally. So friendships are the key. And I think then secondly, like how much can I advocate for my own minority students and international students at this point, and how deeply can I support other students who unfortunately might not have experience to have friendships beyond their own community or ethnicity, to be able to transcend all differences and connect life to life. So yeah, I'm pondering about it. I am myself expanding my humanity, and I think my only suggestion would be to continue to do the same. Thank you.
Dr. Jasandra?
Yes, I think all of us started somewhere, right? And I think just knowing that, it all starts for students also from somewhere. And I think if you have an interest, instead of just thinking that's too big and that's too way out there, just first, there's so much out there in the internet. Google, start with that, kind of Googling, and then reach out to people. Maybe it's your colleague, and maybe it's your instructors, right? There's always the kind of the first line where look at people who are doing international things, who have interest, and they may have a lot of ideas that you alone may not realize, right? And so reach out to colleagues who are there, who are interested, because for a lot of us, it also began by reaching out, right? And so start with I would say start with your department instructors, and then IP office. Their wealth of resource. They are there for a reason. So international programs office that talk about your interests. It doesn't have to be so developed. You don't need to know a lot of things. All of us didn't know a lot of things when we started, right? And I think I just have to say that to end with that, doing international travel changed my life, right? And today I've traveled to about 30 countries, and I'm hoping to travel way more. And it has become a passion, and going into different cultures and looking at different ways that people different values and different ways of living, and it's become a passion. And so I would say, if you have the opportunity, don't let fear stand in the way. Go and talk, have a conversation. There is semester study abroad program, so that's starting from next year, and it's doable. And just consider, it's putting your eyes out there. It's you have to be brave, but it's lifelong. It changes your life, and it might start off as a once in a lifetime experience that becomes your life. It ends up being your life. So I would encourage you to just start with a conversation, and visiting and looking up resources.
Wonderful. That's kind of what we're doing today, is starting that conversation. So thank you so much. Dr. Kubo.
Sure. So, like Hilda, I also attended yesterday's International Coffee Hour, and which was very inspirational as always. And during the session, Dr. Lam said that what is important with international education is not international education itself, but the experience through the international education. And I echo that. It's really a great statement, I think, and because I do believe that what is most valuable with international education, international learning, and international collaboration is the experience we gain and embrace. And those international learning experiences, even like under today's unusual condition, is critical part of our lifelong learning process, and that can significantly impact our lives, and that can open up wider opportunities in our lives, and that can inspire not only ourselves but also our friends or families, the university, and the community by our sharing our experience. So so for those who are interested in, the studying with international ties, I echo other my colleague presenters that you can't miss the opportunity. Just start from what you already see or what you already have in the local, on campus, or and then explore opportunities given around campus and community. Just see around. You have international students, international faculty, and staff and administrators. You can start from there. And I learned yesterday that from that international coffee hour that we have brewed a global program right now. So that is another great opportunity for student, international or domestic students. And just connecting or contacting study abroad office, ISSP office, or various ethnic student clubs. And that could be a great starting point. And our library diversity committee always welcome new ideas and partnership with students and faculty, staff, administrators in putting together like new programs that support international learning. So just contact us and seek the opportunity. And also in the local community, give us many opportunities in international learning too. Like for instance, I'm actually part of the Sister Cities program in the city of Fresno, and particularly I'm in the partnership between the Fresno and the Kochi in Japan, and which promote the cultural, educational, and business exchanges. So those kind of things can be another opportunities you can find in the local community. So I think that particularly this pandemic shouldn't stop our curiosity and creativity in international education and collaboration. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. So we're starting to get a little short on time. So Dr. Perez, do you want to finish us up here?
Yes. So I just wanted to tell you that Dr. Kubo needs the opportunity to meet in the hall there with Yoshiko and just talk in the office, like you mentioned, the Shana and everybody. Is just that personal interaction that is not planned, that gives the seed for many collaborations, how they can come just by that minute of interaction that happen in a hall that is not planned, and is so important in that building that new relationship. So I have been here at Fresno State for more than 20 years as a faculty member. So I have been here for a long time. But one suggestion I have is at two levels. One is at the local level and the other one is at the macro level. At the local level, the mentoring that we could do in our faculty members. For instance, I am a mentor, faculty member, or mentor for a couple of other faculty in the university, in my college, and then that effort of involving them in the international collaborations that I may already have is very important. Supporting them in completing the requirements for the promotion and tenure is extremely important, so they can continue to do that work for long term here at the university. So the mentoring aspect. The second one, the structural aspect, such as being involved in the office of programs of ISSP. Now I finally remember International Student Services and Programs, and making sure that we are involved, for instance, as Fulbright review in the reviewers for the Fulbright scholars. Sarah sent a list of options that we could be involved, and we replied to that email saying, yes, we could do this or we could do this. So giving that more on an ongoing basis every year, continuing that effort of reaching out to faculty. And at the macro level, continue to see how we can collaborate. For instance, just right now, I am thinking for the next international teleconference, we could work with Jitima, Hiromi, and Adeshena in putting together that conference and involve the various countries that you have already connections to. And of course, strengthening the global courses, ourselves offering courses that are possibilities for students, local students, to go to other countries around the world, learn from them, as well as from international students to come here and learn from our culture.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I want to thank each and every one of you guys. We had a very diverse panel here today. All, your stories of how you guys got started and where you're at, and those perspectives, I think, are so valuable for both our campus and our community. And again, this is being recorded today, so it will be available on our website under International Education. So if you want to share it with anybody else, we definitely encourage you to do that. As I said, your messages are so very inspiring and interesting, and I hope that they encourage more of our students and other faculty members to get involved. I do want to give a quick opportunity. Dr. Lamb, would you like to say anything this afternoon?
I really feel so proud and privileged to have colleagues as these four panelists. You have embodied the essence of international education. I feel to realize the dream of internationalizing Fresno State, the core is faculty and students. And definitely faculty, you lead the students in becoming curious, in becoming develop that yearning for international collaboration. Interesting thing is you all come from different countries of origin, but can you hear, if the whole group hear, that their collaboration did not confine to their own country of origin? It's because of you have the globe in your heart that leads you to collaborate with people in many, many countries. And I feel Fresno State is very fortunate to have the four of you. And thank you for being on the panel.
Okay, so with that, I guess we're about out of time. I'm not sure, I think there's a couple of notes in the chat box. I just want to check that real quick. If anybody has any quick questions or anything before we log off here, please, feel free to unmute yourself and ask. Otherwise, you can always reach out to these professors afterwards and follow up with them, and their information will be available as well. So again, if we don't have any questions. All right, so thank you again, guys. Have a great rest of International Education Week. I hope, as Dr. Perez mentioned, we do have International Culture Night. It's still going virtual this year. We've been going strong for over 35 years, and we're not going to let the pandemic stop us. So we'll be virtual for the International Culture Night this Friday, starting at 6 p.m. So I hope that you guys will join us. Of course, it'll be a little different, but we're still highlighting some performances, some fashion, my kiddos are making an appearance. So for El Salvador, so it should be fun, and I hope you guys will join us. And then tomorrow, Thursday, we have some great events about job searching during the pandemic from both the student perspective, as well as tips from the Career Services Department. So please join us again. We have still some more great lineups of programming for you guys to wrap up international education this week. So again, with that, thank you again so much, everybody, and stay safe.